My name is Pat Rehmer, and I'm the Commissioner at the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. You know, people liken it to 9/11. They liken it to the Columbine shootings. I think what people have to really remember is that this involved very young children, and our brains are wired differently to react to events where young children are injured or killed. When you're on site for 12 hours a day, which many of us were, there are things that you see and that you hear. And again, this is an event that nobody has ever really been through. When people are traumatized in this kind of event, you don't want to re-traumatize them. And you don't want to ignore the fact that the trauma that they experience really comes up again on these anniversaries. My understanding from Newtown is that they want to keep this fairly low-key and fairly private, and I think that's a very, very good decision on their part. I think the one thing about this that has been very mixed for me is that this horrific event did result in some very positive changes for our mental health system. This event really forced us to look at where were there missing pieces in the system, and specifically, how are we going to get to youth in a different way? For years, and still, people talk every day about the stigma that individuals with behavioral health disorders experience. Stigma is a word that's pretty easy to throw around. When you start to talk about the discrimination that these people with these issues experience, I think it's more powerful. Language precedes change, we know that, and I think when you point out to somebody that they're behaving in a way that's discriminatory, it captures their attention. The discrimination has got to stop in order to help people come out and acknowledge that they're in recovery. If everybody that has received treatment and is in recovery felt free to talk about it, this would be much more like having cancer, which everybody talks about. But people are afraid to do it because they're so stigmatized or discriminated against. Even I have trouble with the language change. But I really do think it's a very, very important word to use instead of stigma. And I've really been pushing that issue for the last year.